be finishing up the book of Numbers tonight. We've got 3 lessons, and there's not a lot of commentary on the lessons, so that's pretty much it. We'll go through it as we go, like normally. Any questions you have, okay, just let us know. 34, chapter 34, verse 1 and 2. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel, and say to them, When you come into the land of Canaan, this is the land that shall fall to you as an inheritance, the land of Canaan to its boundaries. So this is God's getting ready to tell them where they can go out and conquer. Okay? Now they already know it's west of the Jordan River because that's where they're at. They're right at the Jordan River on the east side of the bank. They're going to cross the Jordan River after is given the go-ahead, and they're going to go across into Jericho. Jericho is going to be the first place Joshua goes. And we all know the story of Jericho, and we'll read about it in a few months when we talk about it then. But, so this is doing 2 things. One, it's telling them where they're going to be at, okay? But it's also going to tell them where they're not going to be at. Meaning, this is what God's given them, this land, and they need to be satisfied with that land. They don't need to go try to conquer like Assyria and Babylon and Greece and Rome, go conquer all the country. God didn't want them to do that. God gave them a land, and he wanted them to go and conquer that land, and that will be their land. Okay? So this was, it was given to them. It's an inheritance all the way back from Abraham that God had given this to them. They don't earn it, even though they have to go and conquer it. They didn't earn it. It was given to them, by that promise, all the way back from Abraham. So, and this is just reinforcing this portion. Okay, 3 through 5, Brother Epson.
Your southern border shall be from the wilderness of Sin along the border of Edom. Then your southern border shall extend eastward to the end of the Salt Sea. Your border shall turn from the southern side of the ascents of Arachim, continue to Zin, and be on the south side of Kadesh Barnea. Then you shall go to Hazar Adar, and continue to Amazon, and then the border shall turn from Amazon to the brook of Egypt, and it shall end at the sea.
Okay? Clear picture, right? You know where every one of those places are at.
No. You asked the question, no.
Okay. If you'll turn to the back of your lesson, you'll find a map. Okay, back page. One of the 2 back pages. There's two maps, okay? We'll talk about this one. The first one, it's a little bigger. The blue, if you see that blue line, goes down this side around, curves around. That's the land that they're talking about. So when he talks about it goes down, they're starting up here. They're right there at Jericho, which is straight above the Dead Sea. Okay? So if you go straight south and go around the Dead Sea, and then straight down to, there's a town called Tamar there, but that little, where inflection, that's one of the towns it called. And then it kind of heads down around south of Kadesh Barnea, and then it heads to the brook of Egypt, which they think is this river here, and it follows that around up to that side, to the sea. Okay? So, we don't know exactly where it is because those towns don't exist now. A lot of the towns in Israel were, after the so much between Israel and the Canaanites, and then Rome, and then the Byzantine century, the Ottomans, and all them that's occupied Israel, a lot of the towns have been destroyed. Some of them built back up, some of them not built back up. what's interesting to tell out there, or what's interesting to see out there, is when they go to these places like they did when we went to Israel, and they showed us, this is where we think this is. It's a mountain. And it's a mountain because they destroyed everything and just made it rubble. And that's when it went all the way down. And the land has just gotten up on top of it. And so it just looks like a big hill. That's what it looks like. So you can kind of tell where this, and when they do, they go through these, that's where the archaeologists are going to and go through these places, and they'll find stuff. I was looking the other day at a site that they said they found some interesting things in Jerusalem. It was down about 20 feet below the current level, and there was rocks, big rocks that they had, and they were like steps. When they lifted those rocks up, they thought they had dated it to about what they call the Byzantine era, which is after Christ. It's after, quite a ways after. They lifted the rocks up and they found coins underneath the rocks that the people had dropped, okay? Just, putting the stuff in their pockets and losing it. And those coins dated back to right after Jesus, right after about 30 AD to 60 AD, somewhere in there. So it's a lot earlier than they thought. They think they found one of the earliest places that they found so far. So it's real interesting to how they go through, the archaeologists, and how they guess and find out some of this stuff.
Brother Young, son, grandson, I just noticed on his face. He's been over there once before on an archaeological, and he was over there a couple of weeks, and he just went back. He just got over there showing some. Last time he was showing some little things that they'd found digging around and stuff. He's really.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you're into that, which I like history too. It's interesting to find. Now, to find that stuff, you got to sit there and dig and sift through all that dirt and get dirty and everything. It's pretty warm but a lot of the places when they get funded for these digs, they put tents over them, and they're set up to be there for a long, long time, most of the time. Jennifer's, Debbie Edwards' son, Jennifer's nephew, he went, was it this year? I think it's over the summer break. Yeah, he went, he did a class, a study class over there in Israel. That's they done for about a month. He said it was in the northern part. I never did find out from him where exactly, but yeah, they're still all the time. If you buy land over there, okay, just say you're wanting to build a house or something, I may have told you this before, and they start digging out, foundation and everything, and they start finding artifacts, well, it's a good thing, but it's not so good for you because they take it over and they want to, if it's a historical site, deemed a historical site, which, you find anything like that, then they have to dig it all up, and so you're lost your, I don't know what they give you money back or what they do, but anyway, so that's some of the problems that you have when you are over there, if you're living over there.
In other words, you could be over 10 years, but you're not really the resident they are.
Right, right. Okay, Iris, you get off easy, verse 6. It's on the next page.
34:6?
Yeah.
As for the western border, you shall have the great sea for a border. This shall be your western border.
Now that's kind of hard to miss. Okay, you can't go too far because you'll run into the water. So it's right there. So that's what it's saying. All this side over here, this is the western side, and that's the Mediterranean, what we call the Mediterranean Sea. That's going to be their western border. So that's fairly easy. Now, I can tell you, just like here in the United States, that border's changed a little bit because the sea level goes up, sea level goes down, and all this stuff. We was at one of the ports up north, Herod's northern, can't think of the name of it now, but it's the northern part. It's in right north of here. He built a castle there, and it's a natural kind of cove, so he built some walls around it, and it had a natural swimming pool that had been part of the sea, but they changed it over. Well, now that's gone. It's still there. You can see it, but it's underwater. The sea's up because it's come in a little bit more. So it does change over time. Okay, Ruby 7 through 9, the next couple of verses there. Yeah, right up there.
7 and 9.
Uh-huh.
The northern border of the promised land. This shall be your northern border. For the great sea, ye shall mark out your border line to Mount Horeb. From Mount Horeb ye shall mark out your border to the entrance of Hamad. And the direction of the border shall be toward Zedad, and the border shall proceed to Ziplah, and it shall end at Hazar Enan, and this shall be your northern border.
Okay, so you take a look at that on the map, and you can see there's Mount Horeb, or they call it Mount, some people called it Mount Hermon, okay? Now, I mistakenly said, this is the green on this map is what's allocated, okay, by Moses. That's what it says in Joshua. This is what God promised. This is what God promised them, okay? This blue line. They didn't fulfill all of that. That's what I was talking about last week. They didn't fulfill that. If you go to the second map, which shows it a little bit in a different shape, it shows the promised land. It's in a light gray there. And then the green is where the 12 tribes settled. So you see there's a great more that was promised to them, but they didn't ever finish it. They just took what they had. Now, it's a little bit further on the east side, okay, than what Moses had told them. This is what Abraham was told back in Genesis 17 and 8. So it goes all the way up to this very top place. That's they think, the Euphrates River.
Where Asher is?
Up way up north. I don't see where you see Asher.
Like the cities of refuge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're looking at those.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's why I didn't have that. I don't have mine right here. I gave you 3 of them. This is a different. Did I not give you this one?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. I had extra ones in there. So, yeah, there's another one we're going to talk about in the next lesson.
Mount Horeb.
About cities of refuge.
You're talking about Mount Horeb?
Yeah, it goes across.
Okay.
But you can see it there. It goes across and goes down and comes all the way around to this river and comes on down. Now that's the northern border. Yeah, so it's quite a bit. Now 10 through 12, Bertha. Right in the middle of page 2.
You shall mark out your eastern border from Hazar Enan to Shepron. The border shall go down from Shepron to Ribah on the east side of Ain, and the border shall go down and reach to the eastern side of the sea of Shemeth. The border shall go down along the Jordan, and it shall end at the Salt Sea. This shall be the land of your surroundings.
Okay. So we can see it goes down, kind of makes like a hook, and comes back in there. It goes all the way from this Shephem, goes around kind of, it looks like a mountain through there. And it's hard to see. You say, why is this path? Well, if you went there and you seen the topography, there's roads there or places there. So that takes it and shows where it's at. And that's why he's trying to give them a place where it's commonly traveled. Okay? And if y'all don't have that, I've got them still
Kind of
there.
sand.
Well, it's not sand, it's an established trade route that they had there.
All went to,
Yeah, some of those places. Now, some of them's out in the middle of the desert. I mean, for sure. But they say, okay, this is, you know where this town is? Here it is. Go south till you get to this town. So somehow they had to go there, and they figured out the way that's there.
It just might have mattered or something, such a long.
Well, it is, but that's a big area that he gave, that he gave them. Okay, 13 through 15. Then Moses commanded the children of Israel, saying, this is the land which you shall inherit by lot, which the Lord has commanded to give to the 9 tribes and to the half tribe. For the tribe of the children of Reuben, according to the house of their fathers, and the tribe of the children of Gad, according to the house of their fathers, have received their inheritance, and the half tribe of Manasseh has received its inheritance. And that's the ones on the other side of the river. The 2 tribes and a half tribe have received their inheritance on this side of the Jordan, across from Jericho, eastward, toward the sunrise. So it's told them that that's where this is what they're going to get, this particular one. Okay, 16 to 17, Brother Epperson.
And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, these are the names of the men who shall divide the land among you as an inheritance. Eleazar the priest, and Joshua the son of Nun.
Okay, so those are the 2 leaders. He told them and kind of went over all the plans with them, and then he finally told the people, okay, these are the 2 that have the specifics of what's going to be divided up. And we'd read that before. The biggest tribe gets more, the littler tribes get littler, smaller amounts, because it just, they don't have as many people. It's going by people, the number you have. It's one of the reasons they took another reason why they took a census. Okay, and I'll read the next one because it's got a bunch of names in it. Save you. And you shall take 1 leader of every tribe to divide the land for the inheritance. These are the names of the men from the tribe of Judah, Caleb. Now we know Caleb, Joshua and Caleb were the 2 that made the trip. They're the only ones beside Moses that is still living, mostly, and Eleazar. He's the son of Jephunneh. From the tribe of the children of Simeon, Shemuel. From the tribe, the son of Amihud. From the tribe of Benjamin, Elidad, the son of Chislam. The leader from the tribe of the children of Dan was Bukay, the son of Jogli. From the sons of Joseph, a leader from the tribe of the children of Manasseh, Anil, the son of Ephod, and a leader from the tribe of the children of Ephraim, Kemuel, the son of Shiptan. A leader from the tribe of the children of Zebulun was Elizaphan, the son of Tarnach. A leader from the tribe of the children of Issachar, Palatiel, the son of Azan. A leader from the tribe of the children of Asher, Ehud, the son of Shalomi. And a leader from the tribe of the children of Naphtali, Hedalah, the son of Ammi. These are the ones the Lord commanded to divide the inheritance among the children of Israel in the land of Canaan. Now, it goes about and tells them these 12 different lots, 9.5 here, on this side of Jordan. He's already given them the others, have taken theirs, so they don't need theirs. So he's given them. Now, there's still going to be a lot of land to divide up later amongst the tribe, because Judah's going to have a pretty big area. I don't have a map. You can look in one of your Bibles. I didn't have a map that had the different tribes on it, I think. Yeah, this one does. I don't know if you have this one. You guys got that one? Cities of Refuge?
No.
Okay, it's in there. That's what I didn't print off.
I had the city of refuge.
Okay, you got City of Refuge. You don't have the other. Let me go in here just a second. I'll grab those. so everybody has everything, so I know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, we kind of know anyway, but yes, we.
Yeah, well, it's easier to see when you.
All these names remind me of Genesis of begetting everybody. You get this person, get that person.
I'd forgotten that. I thought I had just 2 pages, but I got 3 pages. So here's the one. If you don't have it, take it pass it down.
Oh, I got that one. Oh, that one I don't have. Yeah, that's fine. I have the other two.
Okay, number 35. We're gonna chapter 35. We're gonna talk about the cities of refuge. You want to read 1 through 3 for Cyrus? On page 35, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
And
number
the Lord
35.
spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho, saying, Command the children of Israel that they give the Levites cities to dwell in from the inheritance of their possession, and you shall also give the Levites common land around the cities. They shall have cities to dwell in, and their common land shall be for their cattle, for their herds, and for all their animals.
Okay, now we got to remember these were 12 tribes, but there were half. Manasseh and Ephraim was a half tribe. Yeah, pass those other maps on down if you got those. Brother Epson may not have it.
That's all mine. The only one I didn't have was the Abraham's homeland.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that one. So, like I said, I thought there was just 2, but there were 3. So we can see just by looking on there, Manasseh has a pretty good area on both sides of the creek, if you want to say it that way. But Judah has probably one of the biggest areas. And it's a little funny because Simeon is in the middle of Judah. Judah kind of surrounds them. And that kind of makes sense, they said, because those were the ones that they were given as they were marching. They were on that same side. Okay? It's here again, you have to go back by how these people were born, the 12 tribes. Some of them were born for Leah, some of them born for Rachel, some of them was born, through the different wives that Israel had, Jacob had. And although they're half brothers, you're always closer to your real brother than you are a half brother, seems like. So that's what this kind of represents a little bit. So they grouped together a little bit. Manasseh and Ephraim were together. They're from Joseph, okay? But what you're missing here, what are you missing? What tribe? Levi. There's no tribe for Levi. Remember, they weren't given a set of land. Okay, now we're going to read what they get. You read part of it. They're going to get some cities in each one of these areas because they're going to be the spiritual leaders of these areas. And they're the ones that's going to help part be the judges and part be do the sacrifices and things like that in their own little area. Okay? I guess sacrifice. I don't know if they did sacrifices anywhere else. I guess they did. Let's see. On page 1, 4 through 5, you're going to read for us, Ruby, on that one? At the bottom?
Not on here. There you go.
Meaning the common land around each city. The common land of the cities which you will give the Levites shall extend from the wall of the city outward 1,000 cubits all around, and you shall measure outside the city on the east side 2,000 cubits, on the south side 2,000 cubits, on the west side 2,000 cubits, and on the north side 2,000 cubits. And city shall be in the middle. This shall belong to them as common land for the city.
Okay, they're not going to have any land to their own. Now the cities, they're going to have their own housing and things like that, but they are a little different from the other tribes. They're not going to need quite as much area. Okay, they will need their for their herds and things. They'll need some, but it's just mainly for their sacrifices, because the Levites, the priests, they get from the people.
They don't have to work.
They're going to work as the Levites. They don't have to work the land like they do. Now they still do to some extent. They still have to go and, you know, they'll have their herds that they have to take care of, and their herds are mainly for their sacrifices. They still have to do their sacrifices. But remember, they get pelts, they get bread, they get all these different things as part of their work that they do for them. So they don't have. Now it sounds like they'll have a city. Most of the cities around there are walled. Okay, from outside the city, there's 1,000 cubits. A cubit's 18 inches. Okay, foot and a half. So 1,000 is like 1,500 feet out on each side of the city is their area that they can farm, have their little houses for, you know, putting their animals in, and their tents, and all, I mean, not their tents, but their places for their animals, or places for their, then outside of that, from there, one understanding of it is you go out 1,000 cubits, and then you go 2,000 cubits from there, and that's for the grazing area. Okay, that's where they keep their sheep, their cows, or whatever. They take them out, let them feed, and bring them back for the night. So they got quite a bit of area that they're going to get. Now, in the next one, go ahead and read that, Bertha, 6 through 8.
Now, among the cities which we give to the Levites, you shall appoint 6 cities of refuge, to which a manslayer may flee, and to these you shall add 42 cities. So all the cities you will give to the Levites shall be 48. These you shall give with their common land, and the cities which you will give shall be from possession of the children of Israel. From the larger tribe you shall give many, from the smaller you shall give few. Each shall give some of its city to the Levites in proportion to the inheritance that each receives.
Okay, so say you got 12 tribes, because Manasseh and Ephraim were split. Okay, they were one tribe, but they're split. Levites don't have a tribe, so you got 12 tribes. 48 divided by 12, you'd have 4 cities in each area. But because some of them are real small and some of them are real big, they said that's not the way we're going to do it. The bigger ones are going to have more cities, because they have to give up some of their land for these Levites. The smaller ones are going to have smaller cities. Each area is going to have some cities for the Levites. Now, it said you're going to have 6 cities for these cities of refuge. That's what this map is for. You can see the big stars. That's where the cities of refuge are. They tried to space those out. We're going to learn why here in just a few minutes. But it tells us in the next chapter, 3 of them are going to be on the east side and 3 of them on the west side. Those are special cities. They're still cities of the Levites, but they're special cities. In addition to everything else that has been said, there's going to be another connotation given for these cities of refuge. I forgot to put the scripture down, but it's going to be 9 through 12 for the next one. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, When you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall appoint cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the manslayer who kills any person accidentally may flee there. They shall be cities of refuge for you from the avenger, that the manslayer may not die until he stands before the congregation in judgment. Okay? Now we're kind of getting the cart before the horse a little bit because it hadn't explained to us what all it was. Now we read about it earlier. But here it's saying if somebody kills somebody by accident, if they're out working in the field and have a scythe or something, and the guy gets too close and hits him with it, chops him, hits him in the heart or whatever, and it kills him. Well, that's, yes, he killed him, but it wasn't intentional. Okay? But they don't know that until they have to go before the court. So what happens is, the guy that kills them, he immediately knows he's in trouble. Okay? So he takes off and he heads for one of those cities of refuge. When he gets there, it's like prison. He's there, he has to stay there until they have his trial. Okay? Once the person that was killed, his relative finds out who killed him, then he has to figure out where he's at and go to that city, find out all the witnesses. He has to do his own work and find out all the witnesses of what happened. And this guy's family does too, to make sure he didn't kill him on purpose. It was just an accident. So then they have that trial, okay, before the leaders that we talked about earlier, the ones that was chosen, that Moses had given to be the heads. They're going to have to go through there. That's why they call him the avenger of blood, the avenger of the manslayer. Okay, Brother Epson, 13 through 14.
And of the cities which you give, you shall have 6 cities of refuge. You shall appoint 3 cities on this side of the Jordan, and 3 cities you shall appoint in the land of Canaan, which is the cities of refuge.
Okay. He didn't tell them which ones, where to be at or anything. He wasn't going to be there. Okay. He's not going to cross Jordan. So he's telling them, this is what you need to do. They try to make them fairly centralized to everybody. So you only have to go maybe 15, 20 miles to get to a city of refuge if you have to. Now, north to south, this area I read in one place, it's about 100, what God gave them, it's more of that first map, is about 150 miles. So it's a long ways up and down. It's about 75 miles across. Okay? So you have to kind of split that in the middle. You put 3 on this side and 3 on that side. Well, the 3 on the east side, they're more compact. They're not quite as spread out. You can see on the map where they are. And then the ones on the west side, they're spread out a little further because the guys from the very south of Simon or Judah, they have to go quite a ways to get up there to it. Or the ones to the very north to come south to that city of refuge. So these are the ones that they have to run to. Now it's going to tell us a little bit more about that. Iris, you want to read 15?
These 6 cities shall be for refuge for the children of Israel, for the stranger, and for the sojourner among them, that anyone who kills a person accidentally may flee there.
Okay. Now, one reason it's a Levite city is the Levites are kind of in charge of that city, and they're not going to let anything happen until they find out what all the problems was. So it's not only the Jewish people, but if they have slaves or anything like that, different people of different nations that are there, that are with them, that this happens, they can still run to that city too. It's not just for the Jewish people. So we see even in this time, God's still not a respecter of persons. Okay, he made way for the Jew and for the Gentile if something happened to them. You want to try that next one, Ruby, 16 through 21? Bottom of page 4.
But if he strikes him with an iron implement, so that he dies, he is a murderer, and the murderer shall surely be put to death. But if he strikes him with a stone in the hand, by which one could die, and he does die, he is murdered, and murder shall surely be put to death. But if he strikes him with a wooden hand weapon by which he could die, and he does die, he is murdered, but the murder shall surely be put to death. The avenger of blood himself shall put the murderer to death. But when he meets him, he shall put him to death. But if he pushes him out of hatred, or while lying in wait, and hurls something at him so that he dies, or an enemy strikes him with his hand so that he dies, the one who struck him shall surely be put to death. He is a murderer, and the avenger of avenger of blood shall be put the murderer to death when he meets him.
Okay. So it's basically describing what's premeditated, or the last part is premeditated. They're waiting upon them. They're going to kill somebody. The other, like I said, if it's accidental, even though you do it with an instrument, it's not premeditated. It was an accident. Now they have to figure this out. Just like us today, if something happened like that, if it's self-defense, if it was somebody that came after him and he defended himself, they just have to put all the evidence together.
Who's the avenger of the blood? Someone chosen to?
The avenger of the blood is the nearest relative. Okay? So it's the same one as, I'm trying to remember the kinsman redeemer. That's what Obed was.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Obed? Not Obed, but whoever married Ruth.
Boaz.
Boaz. He's the kinsman redeemer. He's the closest one to that person. Could be his brother, could be his father if he's still alive, could be, a cousin, anything like that. It falls to him, and you kind of look back and you say, well, that makes a little bit of sense, because if you go back to where a man dies and his wife is still living, the brother and has no children, the brother is supposed to marry the wife and have children for the dead brother. This is kind of the same way. He's going to take a revenge or avenge this murder for his brother. Whoever is picked is called the avenger of the blood. And now these are terms that are given when they go through this process, this judicial process. He's given the authority by the people. Okay, he killed him, and well, we'll go through that in just a minute. Bertha, did you read yet?
And 32, 35, 30, 22?
Yeah.
Okay. However, if he pushes him suddenly without or throws anything at him without lying in wait, or uses a stone by which a man could die, throwing it at him without seeing him, so that he dies, while he was not his enemy or seeking his harm, then the congregation shall judge between the manslayer and the avenger of blood according to these judgments.
Okay. So they have to figure out what actually happened. If it was an accident or if it wasn't. And if it was an accident, we'll read about that in just a minute. But if it's not an accident, the avenger can take the guy out right then and kill him. And a lot of times they will do that in front of the court even. I mean, they could, because they're taking, the court approved it, and he's there. Now, they go to these refuge cities. If it happened outside of the refuge city, they said sometimes, one of the commentaries said, if the avenger of blood thinks they're not getting a good trial in that refuge city, they can bring them back to where it actually occurred, because that may be where the witnesses are and they didn't travel and all that. So they go down to the witnesses and they have the trial down there. It's just like ours, having, whenever you can't think you're not going to get a good deal, you get a change of venue, side with the court.
There was a difference, there's a difference in judicial law and when we read always in the King James, thou shalt not kill, but it literally means thou shalt not murder.
Right, that's what it says. I mean, sometimes it happens that they, you know, accidents happen.
Well, even like going to war,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah,
you're shooting your gun and you're gonna, you know,
you're going to shoot somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, they're shooting back at you, so.
but you're not doing it with malice or
Malice.
forethought. I mean, you are, but you aren't, if that makes any sense.
You're trying to protect yourself and them. I mean, trying to do what they told you to do. Okay, the next one is, so the congregation on page 6, at the top page 6, shall deliver the manslayer from the hand of the avenger of blood, and the congregation shall return him to the city of refuge where he had fled. And he shall remain there until the death of the high priest, who was anointed with the holy oil. But if the manslayer at any time goes outside of the limits of the city of refuge where he fled, and the avenger of blood finds him outside the city, the limits of his city of refuge, and the avenger of blood kills the manslayer, he shall not be guilty of blood, because he should have remained in his city of refuge until the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the manslayer may return to the land of his possession. So it's telling them the rules. Okay? If they go back to where they have the story outside, he can't kill him until they have a verdict, and the verdict is he's not guilty of manslaughter or killing him, of murder. He goes back to the city of refuge and he has to stay there. Now, he would probably most likely take his family with him, because, you know, who would want to be there? He's not in prison, but yet he can't leave. Okay, if you understand that.
Yeah.
He can leave after the high priest dies. Okay. Well, they live a while.
In jail.
It is. But sometimes if they slip outside the city, they want to go and see their long lost cousin or something. If the guy finds out about it and chases him down and kills him, he's not going to be held for that, you know, the spilling of that blood. It says the cities of refuge as a picture of Jesus. The Bible applies this picture of the city of refuge to the believer finding refuge in God on more than one occasion. And it lists on page 7 several things. It compares how this shows us as a type and a shadow of God. These cities of refuge is a type of Jesus. Okay? I'm not going to go through all those, but there's several there on that page.
I always check my own.
29 through 30, Brother Epson.
And these things shall be a statute of judgment to you throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Whoever kills a person, the murder shall be put to death on the testimony of witnesses. One witness is not sufficient testimony against a person from the death penalty.
Okay.
For the death penalty.
That's a lot like ours. One witness won't do it. You got to have more than one witness, because you can get in collusion, and even with 2 or 3, you can get in collusion. We see that with Jesus later on, but that's where they tried to have some semblance of justice. Okay, he's got to have more than one witness for him to help him with that, to prove that he's either it was an accident or it was murder.
What if I someone and he's the only one that can explain it?
Well, then you're up a creek. You're gonna have to take
I mean,
their word for it.
What if he was the only one out there with this other person?
Could be, but that's when you better have your story straight and not change it any, as they say today. Okay, bottom of page 8. Iris, you want to read 31 and 32?
Moreover, you shall take no ransom for the life of a murderer who is guilty of death, but he shall surely be put to death, and you shall take no ransom for him who has fled to this city of refuge, that he may return to dwell in the land before the death of the priests.
Okay. Some of the laws that they had, you could pay, and it says pay a ransom, pay a fee, okay, and get out of whatever it was. But for murder, it says, no, you can't do that. You can't pay a fee, you can't do all that, because you spilled the blood of a living being, a living person. So, and it goes back all the way to Genesis 9:6. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man, his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God, he made man. Again, even though it's telling us that you shouldn't kill somebody, if it happens by accident, it's not okay, but he made a way for you to still not be killed, not to die. Okay, 33 and 34, Ruby.
Center.
Way over here. I'm behind. So you may not pollute the land where you are, for blood defiles the land, and no atonement can be made for the land for the blood that is shed on it, except by the blood of him who shed it. Therefore do not defile the land which you inhabit, in the midst of which I dwell. For the Lord dwells among the children of Israel.
Okay. Anytime they shed blood, it was not a good thing, because God created man. He didn't create us to kill one another. Okay? Now, that just goes against what a lot of the Canaanites did. They would have human sacrifices, and that would defile the land. That's what God's trying to get them away from. Stay away from that. But if it happens, he still wants to be sure if somebody kills somebody on purpose, that person is killed also.
It's awfully hard if you're by yourself to really explain it. How many people, think about how many people you'd have to try to explain it to them.
Well, yeah, there'd be several, I'm sure.
You know, I was reading this. There's a lot of countries that have done away with the death penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, people kill people, 2 or 3 people, and they get 25 or 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
And a lot of people say it's not a deterrent. Well, if it is a deterrent to them, they're not going to be killing anybody else, and that's what God set it up. If they actually set forth to kill somebody, that person needs to be killed so they don't kill anybody else. I mean, it's sad to say, and it doesn't say that it's justified by doing that, but it's to satisfy this, avenging of the blood. Okay, on to the last chapter, chapter 36.
1 and 5, 1 and 2.
Uh-huh.
Now the chief fathers of the families of the children of Gilad, the son of Machar, the son of Manasseh, of the families of the son of Joseph, I like that name better than pronounce, came near this place, spoke before Moses and before the leaders, the chief fathers of the children of Israel, and they said, the Lord commanded my Lord Moses to give the land as an inheritance by lot to the children of Israel, and my Lord was commanded by the Lord to give the inheritance of our brother Zebedee to his daughters.
Okay. This is a story we've read about twice already before in Numbers. That these daughters, this father had daughters. He didn't have any sons at all. So they came to him and said, hey, we're not going to get any of this land, and we don't want to be lost. Our father should have gotten some of this land. And they said, yeah, that's right. So this is just remembering this. Moses is telling them, again, that this should happen, that this would happen. But God...
They were from the tribe of
They're the tribe of Manasseh. They're from the half tribe of Manasseh.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So this goes on, and let's go to 36, 3 and 4. There's a problem, okay? The problem is, it says, now if they are married to any of the sons of the other tribes of the children of Israel, then their inheritance will be taken from the inheritance of our fathers, meaning the tribe of Manasseh, and it will be added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they married. So it will be taken from the lot of our inheritance. And when the Jubilee of the children of Israel comes, then their inheritance will be added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they married. So their inheritance will be taken away from the inheritance of the tribe of our fathers. So if a Judahite from the tribe of Judah marries one of these ladies from Manasseh, the land's going to go because it stays with the man, okay? Even though the girl had the land, it automatically, she becomes part of him, he gets that land. So the land's going to be transferred, so you're going to have some land up here in the middle of Manasseh that Judah owns. That's a problem. Or it could be anywhere else around there.
So if the girl ends up divorcing, all that was such a word thing back
Yeah, they
then.
had it back then.
She ends up with nothing because
Right.
when she married, it went to her husband.
Went to her husband.
Wow.
And she has no rights after she marries. I mean, she goes with the husband.
Wow.
So it's being taken away. There's a problem that came up from this ruling that they had, and they wanted to try to figure this out, what it was. Okay, Brother Everson, 5 through 9.
Then Moses commanded the children of Israel according to the word of the Lord, saying, what the tribe of the sons of Joseph speaks is right. That is, the Lord commands concerning the daughters of Zelophehad, saying, let them marry whom they think best, but they may marry only within the family of their father's tribe. So the inheritance of the children of Israel shall not change hands from tribe to tribe. For every one of the children of Israel shall keep the inheritance of the tribe of his father, and every daughter who possesses an inheritance of the tribe of the children of Israel shall be the wife of one of the families of her father's tribe, so that the children of Israel may possess the inheritance of his father. Thus no inheritance shall change hands from one tribe to another, but every tribe of the children of Israel shall keep its own inheritance.
Okay. Now I did talk about in that last one about the year, the 50th year, where they had the Sabbath, the day of rest. They had that every 7 days. They had a Sabbath. Well, the Jubilee, the year of Jubilee, is the 50th year. On that 50th year, the lands would go back to the original owner. If a guy sold some land, that guy could own it for a while, but then it came back to the original owner. Well, since there's no man to claim that land, that's what it was saying, it would still stay with the man. If it was the tribe of Judah, it would still stay with them. Well, the solving of this riddle is they can marry anybody they want as long as they are the tribe of Manasseh. Of the tribe of Manasseh. And it says of their father. So it goes back to Zelophehad, any one of his brother's kids. Basically, it'll say that in just a minute. So that limits them a little bit, but you got to remember there was only 5 girls, I think it was. So they're not talking about it, but it is, today we would say they're marrying their cousin. And it's like, yeah, basically. Okay, Iris, page 3, 10 through 12.
Just as the Lord commanded Moses, so did the daughters of Zelophehad were Mahlah, Tisra, Hoglah, Milcah, and Noah. The daughters of Zelophehad were married to the sons of their father's brothers. They were married into the families of the children of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, and their inheritance remained in the tribe of their father's family.
So that's the thing.
That's how they solve.
That's that's how they solve the problem.
These girls would be, I wouldn't want, if it was the other way around, I wouldn't want to get married, you know, because they lose.
Yeah, and some of them may not, but this way they're not losing this inheritance.
Yeah.
It stays with, it's going to be remembered as Zephlad's, because they broke it down into areas, and Zephlad was the one at the time, but he died, remember, in the 40 years of wandering. So his daughters is going to get his land, his lot that he had, but whoever marries him it'll still be part of Zephlad's, because it's going to be his brother's land, his brother's kids' land. It'll still be part of their.
Well, it's a wonderful way to solve it.
Well, yeah, it limits them a little bit, but like I said, it's just, I don't want to say being mean, but it's only 5 girls that it affects right here. And surely they could find in all the 2.5 million, you know, you cut that down, I don't know how many 100,000 that there was with Manasseh, there was somebody that they could marry. And then the last verse is, these are the commandments and the judgments by which the Lord commanded the children of Israel by the hand of Moses in the plains of Moab, by the Jordan, across from Jericho. This is just summing it up. It's the last scripture in Numbers that tells them this is the last of what's happened. It says, then, as the nation actually set out from Mount Sinai to the promised land, they found themselves struggling with flesh. They murmured, complained, and rebelled. Most of all, they failed to enter into what God had set before them by faith. So it took a generation, almost 38 years, to lead them out of that, to get them to mature. So they set out towards the promised land again and faced the same challenges of the flesh, but dealt with them better this time until they made their way to the threshold of the promised land. By spiritual analogy, many Christians die in the wilderness because they will not trust God and will not enter into what He has set before them. Many Christians also see the evidence of that lack of faith display itself in a weakness towards the things of the flesh. Sadly, many Christians live more in the wilderness than on the threshold of the promised land. Finally, consider what it would take to move the children of Israel from across the Jordan, or from Jericho to the promised land. Staying on the shores of the Jordan River is better than being in the middle of the wilderness, but it isn't the promised land yet. They came this far by faith and will need faith to take them the rest of the way.
Wow.
It took what, 2 years to get all this straightened out?
It took them a while. Well, they sat there for quite a while before they decided, yeah.
So they weren't constantly moving,
They
also
were during
stationary
that
for a
38
while.
years, but the first 2 years, they got to the promised land, okay? So within 2 years, they'd gotten to that promised land. Then they told them they're going to wander in the wilderness. So that when they got back there, they had about a year there, if I recall what they had, that they were preparing for this, getting ready to go over and getting all these laws again. They had to go through all the laws again and tell them, and take the census and do all these things that they had to do.
Set up all the boundaries, map everything
Yeah,
out.
map everything out, get everything. They had to go everything. So it took a good while for them to do all that. So,
Wow.
well, I appreciate everybody coming out.
Well, we appreciate you.
See you in a couple of weeks.
And I will